Our next speaker is the man who was responsible for rescuing the iconic Royal Enfield brand. He helped revive the company's fortunes and has over the years strengthened the Eicher Group. Under his watch, Eicher inked a joint venture with Swedish commercial vehicle manufacturer Volvo. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Siddharth Lal, Managing Director and CEO of Eicher Motors.
What wasn't mentioned there is I'm also a young Turk. 12 years ago, I was one of the first, I think, then. And I grabbed this opportunity, Shireen said, you're having a young Turk conference and all of that. And I figured, I don't know the exact age when you're a young Turk. Is it, well, approximate age? I know I'm going to turn 40 in a few months. So I didn't want to come for a middle-aged Turk conference. So I sat back this afternoon and I put down my 4 points that I believe got our firm into a road of long-term value creation and long-term profitability. The first of those was really to understand what gets me going. It means really listening to yourself, of course, when the time comes, grabbing the opportunity. I'm an inheritor. I'm from a business family, so, I've got a lot of things already started for me, unlike a lot of you here who've, started from scratch, which is certainly much more commendable. But I was going through the paces, I went to Doon School, I somehow got into St. Stephen's economics, work experience, etc. And the next thing there was the MBA. When I was working actually at Royal Enfield as an apprentice, suddenly for the first time I was actually really, really curious about something. I wanted to know how a motorcycle worked, how a vehicle worked. And so I chucked up all this MBA business and the idea of, going to some big school, and I pursued a very different career. I said, let me try and become an engineer. I found a course where I could do a postgraduate diploma in engineering. I figured out what I enjoyed doing. So I enjoyed motorcycle, but what I actually enjoyed from a business sense, in some sense, was that I enjoyed being thrown into the deep end. For 6 months, I was struggling like mad. And that's when things started working for me. 2000, I was bumbling along. It was the internet craze. I was making online maps and all of that, and I was enjoying myself. I wanted to be, what's now Google Maps. We thought of it 13 years earlier. My father told me, well, the management has decided that we're going to sell off Royal Enfield. And, I used to ride a bike. I used to fancy myself as a bit of a rider. And I asked my father at that time, and then he convinced the management team. I started running Royal Enfield around 2000. The connecting thread again there was I was way out of my depth. But I knew that that's what I wanted to do. The point really is that to figure out something that really gets your juices flowing. Number two, prioritization. After working 5 years in the motorcycle business and, getting back to a reasonable good position, I was moved to the corporate office. Really over the next year and a half after doing a lot of thinking, we totally reprioritized our entire organization. In 2010, I was running that business, the truck business as well, and I had serious health problems, and I figured out that that's not me. I'm not cut out to run this type of business, which was a truck business, and it was really complicated. I put into place an organization, and today we have a leader in the truck business who's 10 times better than me at running the truck business. So if you're not able to do something extremely well, better that somebody else does it better. In a sense, less is more. I'd rather do less, do it really well, than do too many things and sort of, mess it up for myself. The third one is have a truly differentiated business model. So it was always clear that we had to do something extremely differently in order to make our impact. In the Volvo, Eicher, and the truck business, I figured that in order to make a major impact, we need to get a global player in, and which is what we did. We got Volvo in, so we had global technology, global capability, strong financial muscle, and that became a business model which moved really well. The last is about having an extremely long-term approach. So I don't mean 1, 2, 3 years. I mean 10, 20, 30 years approach. But then it's about perseverance after that. So to really dig your heels in and just follow up. So let's build a brand, let's build a company, let's build a bike that people want to graduate to. And that's what I believe we created. After 10 years of slogging it out, come 2010, we hit a ramp. Now it's been 3 years nearly, and we've grown at 50% year on year. From virtually no profit, we've become, I would say, one of the most profitable automobile companies in the world now, with 17, 18% EBITDA. That's in the league of really the top brands. And and we're just getting started. So now our next phase of growth is firstly to totally reinvent ourselves. International markets, becoming a real leader in a mid-sized motorcycle market globally. And that's the kind of perseverance that I feel, it takes to actually, make it big. And I thank you all very much. Thanks.
You've had a very, very difficult decade. What kept you going?
It was difficult, but it was like the most fun. I mean, it was nearly like a startup environment, as close as, let's say, someone with an inheritor's dilemma gets to a startup environment.
Yeah. Very often we actually see businesses starting to chase volumes, or at least aspire to start chasing volumes. I mean, what you sell in a year, Hero Honda or now Hero MotoCorp will probably sell in a month. So the temptation to not go down the volume route, how did you stay away or resist that temptation?
It was really simple, because what I figured is that if we can't do what we're doing well, we will never be able to do what Honda does well, right? So what we were doing was bigger motorcycles and, more brand evocative, long distance motorcycles. But we weren't doing a good job of that. So if we can't do a good job of that, then there's no chance we can compete against...
Okay, so things have turned around now. Is it an option now?
Oh, absolutely not. We're so happy where we are. We're so delighted where we are that there's, we would never do that.
Is a global alliance part of the agenda as far as Royal Enfield is concerned? And I ask you this because we've seen a lot of other Indian manufacturers go that route.
It was something we were interested in 3 or 4 years ago. So we were talking to a couple of people, we were figuring it out. But now, we don't need them. So I think we're okay on our own.
How do you then take on the Ducatis and the Triumphs, etc., as you go into the international market?
It's a business model. I think the mid-sized motorcycle market is totally underserved globally. So all the guys you mentioned, the Europeans, the Americans, they're into big bikes, they're into expensive bikes, $15,000, $20,000 and above. That's the kind of biking they do. Or there are the commuter motorcycles, which are really small stuff. The mid-sized bikes have been totally neglected. For us, we figured out it's a mid-sized motorcycle market, so we're going to be a premium mid-sized motorcycle.
Very quick question on the joint venture with Volvo. How are you doing things differently to ensure that both partners are happy with the relationship? And Eicher is now actually part of the Volvo brands that they're marketing internationally as well.
I think what keeps us together and what keeps us going well is that we both know that if both of us were to do this alone, we'd probably mess up. Right? So we need each other to...
As much as... you need each... it's a partnership of equals.
It's a partnership of equals. It's an equal partnership. Volvo values that we have a very local Indian business model. So it's the business model which is so valuable, which we're able to do now, I believe, really well, which is a joint business model. But we're getting technology in, we're getting capability in, and all of that. And we're totally reinventing trucking from ground up in India.
If you could drive one bike which is not a Royal Enfield, what would it be?
Oh, I'm not into very sporty bikes normally, but I do enjoy riding a Ducati once in a while. I've ridden the Victory motorcycles, and my partner Polaris makes Victory motorcycles, and they're just going to start Indian motorcycles, and they make the best cruisers in the world beyond a doubt. So I love riding all sorts of bikes.
Questions for Siddharth? Yes, go ahead.
Hi Siddharth, my name is Shailesh Chaturvedi. I work with an apparel brand called Tommy Hilfiger. My question is related to the word you use, inheritor. So, two parts to the question related to the same topic. One is, are there some disadvantages of being an inheritor part of the family? Second question is, let's say if you are not from the Eicher family and you are a regular student of economy at St. Stephen's that you mentioned, would you have taken a different trip?
Certainly a lot of advantages to being an inheritor, and I'm sure there is a few disadvantages, but I don't worry about those really. I mean, you got what you got and you got to make the best of it. Would I have done something different? For sure. I mean, I don't think I would have been sitting here doing this because, you don't get into a business like, making trucks or motorcycles just like that. I mean, I don't...
What would you have done? What would you have liked to do?
I've thought about it a lot, but I have absolutely no idea.
But Siddharth, before I let you go, a lot of Indian auto companies have made some bold, audacious moves that are now beginning to pay off for them. Tata Motors bought out Jaguar Land Rover. Jaguar Land Rover keeping Tata Motors alive today. Would you look at perhaps an acquisition?
The brand is so special, at least I feel so. And we've created it in such a unique manner. I don't even want to sort of dilute my focus, my energy on something else. So if there's something outrageously wonderful that comes on the plate, maybe, but most likely not.
All right, Siddharth Lal, appreciate you joining us here for the Young Turks Conclave, and we wish you, Royal Enfield and Volvo Eicher the very best of luck. Thank you so much.
Shireen, request you to hand over a Rado watch to Siddharth.
Wow.